So the next job I want to tackle is just closing this gap on the top of this partition between two rooms. And just to keep the sand out from the other side, because on this side is where I have my office now, on the other side is a bedroom. And I'll see if I'm working back or working early, that noise goes across and is not conducive to sleep. So there's a few things that we need to do. One is to actually measure the height here. I'll also have to cut in these little areas here so the board can sit up flush onto that. I'll need to put some wood here so I can mount the board onto as well. And then I've got a little bit of a mess down the other end there because it's not the same height. And also I've got some power cords that run down through, just on a power lead up there at the moment to power some LED lights around the bedroom side. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that just at this point in time, but it may be adjusting the power cord, the extension cord, to make that fit. Anyway, I think the first step I'm going to do is actually cut a piece of wood at the height that I want, because I actually want it to sit up flush to the edge here as opposed to sitting over the top. Like that, I actually want to sit up flush, so that means I'll have to come down. If I can cut a piece of wood, then I'll be able to use that as a marker of where to put my rail across the bottom here, and before I screw it all together. Let's see how we go. Look, I can take a little bit longer doing these things than it probably needs to take. And look, part of that is because I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing all the time, but I just take my time and slowly work it out. So what I've done is measured from here across to get the height that I showed earlier about from the top of the cupboard to the beam. And what you'll also notice is that I've got some wood underneath here, and that's to lift that up off the concrete. So when I'm using the circular saw over there, I'm not cutting into my concrete, which will destroy the concrete, but it'll also destroy the blade. You'll also note that I've got this piece of timber here clamped on. Now that is because I notoriously do not cut straight. I get the wobbles up as I'm going along, even though I have a really lovely nice line there, but hopefully that will give me a nice cut, because I'll be able to put the base of the saw up against that and just hold it against that as I cut along. If you're wondering how I worked out this distance from here to here, I actually measured the base plate to the cutting point. I also put it on there to double check it as well, just so I have that whole measure twice, cut once theory. So what I've done, I've put the framing in to attach the sheeting to. It's like fairly thin sheeting. and I will try and hold that and the camera at the same time. I'll put the sheeting on. I actually just tacked it on with a couple of screws. I've just taken that off actually. So I've tacked it on so I can get a good position up against here, up against here. So there's a bit of a lip, but I'll be able to seal that with some silicone. So and yes, you can see get that because I haven't lifted that edge up here. I'm just holding it up for the purpose of the camera. But that's pretty much how I did it. I didn't want to put this framing in but have it too far back, so there's a massive big like lip up here. I was hoping to go reasonably flush but not exactly flush, so that'll give me something to put the silicone to get a nice bead on it, and just seal it off. Next step is that piece of quad that's up in the corner. You can see it there with the LED light sensor. Actually, I've got an electrical cable sitting underneath that board, but that's okay. I just need to cut a slot into that quad, so the sheeting that you just saw, that ply, will be able to slot into that and sit flush up against that side wall. And I'll also have to do that at the other end as well. You can see that up there as well, so I have to cut a little slot into that as well. So that's it all finished off. So it's nothing flash, it's just enough to seal that off and hopefully make it a little bit quieter on the other side. As you can tell, I've had to check it in up here. And look, that's a little bit messy, but a bit of paint and a bit of silicone will fix that up. I didn't actually have to check out any holes here because just because of this area here actually has a gap underneath it, but I'll be able to actually seal that up as well. But what did it actually allow me to put that cord through without actually having to cut into that, because I don't actually have a power point on the other side. So I'm still trying to keep it practical without going completely over the top with costs. That we've had to be an electrician in to bring, change your power point and all that sort of stuff. So there's just a quick fix to make it a little bit quieter on the other side. There you go, another job is done. Now you're probably wondering why I use ply instead of just using some drywall or gyprock, whatever you want to call it. Oh look, it's a temporary fix. And I really felt that if I went to the drywall track, then my OCD would kick in and I'd want to be plastering it and sealing it and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't want to do that. And you're probably wondering why I would see that as a temporary fix, because at some stage in the not too distant future, so the next 12 months or so, I'd actually like to take those cupboards out. So where I put that ply sheet across the top to close off the gap, I actually want to take those cupboards out and just move them into the office space which I actually work in. And then I will actually do it properly with sheeting and sealing and painting and all that sort of stuff. So what that'll do is actually open up more space in the bedroom on the other side and make that room bigger. So I don't need a huge space in the office where I work. All I need is a desk, computer, and some space to move around, and I don't need a lot of space. As long as I can fit a desk and computer in there, I'm okay. And I still have a window where I can get some fresh air, and I've got some power points where I can plug a heater in and a fan and all that sort of stuff. So that's really just, it is a temporary fix, which is why it looks like a temporary fix. And I want to be able to make it so it's reasonably, actually fairly quick, and that it will still be very quick to just pull apart. So it's literally just a few screws and a bit of timber to remove out of the room. And look, ply is easy to use as well. Look, it wasn't that much of a deal. I know with the gyprock I could probably just slice it with a knife as opposed to getting the saw out, but look, it didn't take that long. So I was happy with the result. My daughter is happy with the result because she's in the room on the other side. And she said the noise is a lot less, so she doesn't even hear me now when I'm in there working early in the morning or later at night, which is good. So look, if you've enjoyed that, please give us a big thumbs up. And as always, if you have enjoyed it, please subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with your friends if you think it's something that they would enjoy or could use in a job of their own. Until next time, I'll see you then.